Greetings and gentlemen, everyone. Zeratone here. It's late at night, so I'm being a bit quiet, but what am I up? Why am I uploading this, and what is it? Well, remember that collab me and the Lore Raider did? Well, we originally did an interview before that. We call it the Lost Interview, where my voice just didn't record because my recording software was being a bit retarded. Got that autism spectrum diagnosis right there. So yeah, that totally happened, and then we had to record it. Like we had to record the new one, but I have a challenge for everyone watching this. First, if you can answer these 5 questions, plus give a short synopsis of the video, you get to choose parts of the script for a video, a random video of your choice. If you can write down the subtitles for this entire video, then I will reward you by being able, you can just write the script for an entire video. It has to be PG. I don't expect anyone to do the latter, but for the loyal commenters like D, I challenge you to do that. So here's your 5 questions. These are all in text. I asked, so Lore Raider, do you have your answer yet? What was I referring to when I said this? What was the hilarious thing that I think that the Lore Raider should show you guys? What series did the Lore Raider recently get into that I wanted you guys to congratulate him on? What did I say was my favorite clip from this video, and what did the Lore Raider say in it? What did I say the Lore Raider would probably eventually surpass me in? Alright, anyways, enjoy the Lore Raiders' schizophrenic ramblings and him talking to the voices in his head. He doesn't even know that I'm actually uploading this, so yeah. And I know you're watching this right now, I know you're listening. Hey, Lore Raider, you could feel free, if you still have the Swiss cheese recordings of this conversation, you can feel free to do some video that's like poking fun at me. I don't know. But yeah, also I encourage you to take place in this little competition that I've laid out the rules for if you have time. If you do that, I may or I could, I don't know, man, I'll just edit like an entire video for you with of your choosing, whatever you want. Anyways, enjoy.
I want to talk about because canon suffers from this, and if you watch my videos, you know Power Scaling suffers from this. But it's like misinformation in Metroid, right? It's rampant. We all know it. Um, because, and I guess I'll talk a little bit about my channel for your viewers. I do Metroid power scaling, and it really saddens me. I think I said it in my last video, but it saddens me just how much um BS is out there about what's in Metroid. Never mind the debate about what feats Samus even gets from different games, because people can't disagree on that. It's like Danko. You're familiar with Danko. He stated Samus is as low as like large lizard wall level, basically. Effectively, that's how unorganized. Like with Dragon Ball, everyone can agree he's at least universal, probably a little multiversal. No one at all can agree where Samus is at. And then, of course, again, canon misinformation. So, what's your experience with misinformation? Because I could rant on what I've experienced. Right. Oh, oh, the YouTube that YouTube guy we went to war with on a. Oh, you mean that? Okay, I thought you meant that. What great new. You literally made a great point in your can video. It's like you asked, like, what do we gain if we get rid of like half of the Metroid? Because the Prime games literally account for like half the games when you count them. What do we gain? Samus gets significantly weaker. We get less story. Like the entire Phazon Crisis arc is not. What do we gain from this? No, he didn't understand my point. For those, right? Oh yeah, and for our viewers who don't know, this is a video about. I believe it was. I made it after Dread release. Right. Was she too badass? That was the thumbnail. And I went through this whole video trying to talk about her character art in each chronological game. And this guy we were talking about, he comes on here, claims a Japanese version of Samus is remarkably less stupid than the English version. Um, and then it basically ends up somehow, I don't know how, with him saying that the manga is stupid because Ridley has an evil brother, which he doesn't have. But I, I I'm struggling. You can hear I'm struggling because I don't think that our viewers need to hear us rag on Etherem because everyone knows how bad that game is. But I think none of us were prepared for how doggedly this guy was gonna argue his position. Like, for, right? Yes, he picked the voice actor. He picked the voice actors himself. Oh, I mean, if there's any one topic the community has to agree on, it's Sakamoto Macroman. I mean, there's billion interviews, billion articles. That's like the one and only piece of information in Metroid that isn't flooded with misinformation. Like he did micromanage that, so it's entirely his fault. And it's if it was a good game, if it really was a good game, right? If the Japanese version was so much better, we wouldn't have had the Dark Age. We really wouldn't. If it was that significantly better. But even Nintendo, who spoke Japanese, would have understood the Japanese version. They basically like, yeah, this franchise is done until what 7 years, 8 years until the Metroid Two remake. How long that was? Oh, right. Cause, right, because that game really saved the franchise, right? But but I'm sorry. This is a conversation that killed a few brain cells having with that. Right. Oh, familiar with, yes. And don't get me started on the how the game has fundamentally to this day irreversibly changed Samus's character arc in a way that doesn't make sense. I think it kind of how do I say that? I think it kind of destroyed the original Metroid 2's like philosophical conundrum by the end of the game. You know the one is, which by the way, I think Super Metroid's too, and I do think the Metroid 2 remake didn't fix it at all. They cut out the like. I'm glad they added Proteus really because that's just more evidence that Prime is canon. But on the other hand, it's like that ending from the original A&R did better, but that's another topic. It has never felt maternal for the baby for Metroid. They knew each other for literally an hour. She gave it up to science with like an hour of meeting it. That's literally what happened. Admirable. Right. Yes. but they have to overhaul like no part of Adam and Samus's relationship could have stayed like at all. It had to be completely overhauled. And then people half the fandom base doesn't even like the combat. Like most people think the combat is junk anyway. So right. Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, maybe you could argue that Metroid needed to innovate, and they did it with this. It did it with the Metroid Two remake because as we you've seen the criticism of the Metroid Two remake. It was clunky in many ways, over relied on the counter mechanic, but it came together in Metroid Dread combat wise. People are a lot more happy with that, but still. And actually, I want to ask you, on the topic of, I guess, Samson's character being overcorrected. Did you think Samson's personality in Dread was either a course correction? Do you think it was too far? Do you think it was just right? What's your take on that? Yes. Well, spoilers ahead, but right. Right. Oh, yeah. You mind if I rant a little bit about Samson Joey's depiction of Samus? Because I totally agree with you. Um, with you're right. It wouldn't work in a game because Sims talks way more, and the kind of backdrop of the manga is that people think Samus is a man. I guess maybe she changed her voice or something. So I don't know how Joey could be fooled by it if she sounded like she does in the game, but I digress. Um, I think, and I said this in the video, I think that Samus is the perfect transition from her more emotive side that we saw in the Prime games. Like, I think my favorite like cutscene, the Prime game, which I thought she was trying to save Dark Samus from falling off the cliff. Maybe but that was, I mean, later Samus would never do that, from what I've seen. But I thought that was a cool moment. I thought this was the perfect middle ground from being like she's emotional, but then she's also the same Samus that trolled Kraid in Dread pretty badly. Um, do you think it could be pulled off in a game? Because that. What do you think? Do you think it could be pulled off in any sort of game? That particular Samus. Yes. Yes, I think I think that I don't know if you've watched the Geek Fatigue. He's in this whole Metroid retrospective, right? Then you might remember this line on the Other M video that anything that's similar to Other M in any way would immediately be met with like humongous backlash. But I don't think in this decade they'll try to get Samus to talk that much. Honestly, if it's in my opinion, because such a. But if they ever did take inspiration from Samus and Joey, actually, I think it could be a good game that could just translate that. I think if they decided to treat Samus like a bounty hunter that did jobs instead of whatever Nintendo told them in Other M, or sorry, in Prime 3, a retelling of that manga would be excellent. Honestly. Oh yeah, right. I mean, didn't his mom abandon him for like science, and then she literally died in the manga? Legitimately died. There was the Dominion, which is, by the way, I think the Dominion, massively underrated evil faction, added a good dose of like credible threat level we've been missing in some cases, because they had that testing ground planet. They were shooting people. I mean, I think people judge the comics by its cover. It has its serious moments, no, inarguably. Um, but I don't know how we got on this topic. I kind of got us into this. I'm sorry. Uh, well, I've been picking all the topics, so why don't I turn it to you on this next one then? No problem. I'm gonna grab my charger actually. I'm back. All right. Back. All right. Excellent. So, um, by the way, I want to point out that my poor phone's recorder just couldn't handle all this footage. So I guess I'll just you'll be the one to have it up because my phone just ran out of room for all these different recordings. Unfortunately, um, yes. Okay, it's in chunks. So like I didn't want to break the flow, but every 5 to 6 minutes I had to stop because it cut off, go back, start the recording again, and then rinse and repeat until it just kind of stopped having. Let me take a look real quick. Let me take a look. So we have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 chunks. Oh wait, nope, 9, 10. Okay, I have 10. So anywhere from probably 40, 50 minutes, if they're each roughly 5 minutes. Right. Well, what we might do is I could try to like we could try to do half and half, so you'll have the back part of it. I can like try to string the first part of it together, perhaps. Okay, we'll just try like that. Is it working now? Still? Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience. I hoped it could have my thing could have handled all this footage, but it was my first time. But anyhow, you have the next topic. We could. Um, I don't know how. Because you always. I mean, I could talk about our YouTube channels. How we want how what our dreams for it were going into it. In the future of them, that could be a topic. Ah, mm-hmm. Uh, Danko. Oh, Smash Bracket. Smash Bracket. Mhm. Oh, the first guy I responded to. Oh, yes. This was the whose video had some. Yeah. Oh my. Oh, give give me one moment. Give me one moment. Someone's calling me. Give me one second. I'm so sorry. I forgot to tell people that I was having this interview. So my mistake. Oh, duh, duh. Of course. Yeah. We could almost turn this into a versus battle hour, but to answer because we want to say the dream for this channel. So I guess I'll just because why even make the channel to begin with? Um, there were two arguments that I saw online that I just reviled for many reasons. The first was Orpheans and Metroid Trainers SEX versus Deck. Yeah, was it was horrendously downplaying SEX, and it frustrated me because I've come to accept that many people don't know the fundamentals of versus battling. So common problems like the fact that Samus has to be getting stronger over time don't factor in. Because you're my current opinion right now, I don't think it's even a fair fight for Dark Samus. I think she's been power crept by the point SCX comes in. That's my opinion. So when I made the video, that was my motivation. It was like to put that information out there in case anyone wanted to see it, right? The second one that might not surprise you, and regrettably my largest video ever, is Samus versus Doomslayer, the response to Midnight, I believe it was, which I've since edited to say hella outdated because it is horribly outdated. On his end, he was using a Doomslayer that was before the most recent game, so a much weaker Doomslayer. And on my end, I was just forming my opinions. I didn't have like I think Dread, right? Dread wasn't out even either yet. So while I still think the outcome is the same, the reasons for that outcome are different. I think, but it goes. I think that particular video's flaws was that people believe Samus was several tiers weaker than she really should be. Also, in his own video, just to rant a little bit, I believe he specifically stated that Doomslayer was like atomic bomb level, and Samus had a quote unquote planet level arsenal, but she still lost in his video. I don't know how strong he thinks a nuke is, but whatever, whatever. Oh, no problem. Uh, so look, if I had to make a tier list about stupid Samus, or I should say stupid Metroid fights I've seen on the line, I'll give the Mega Man community a little credit. It's not the worst thing I've seen. I've seen worse, but the issue is they fall in. I blame versus Battle Wiki for a lot of this. I blame, armchair death battle wannabes for this. Um, but there's a common misunderstanding that Samus is like star level. Like if you don't think she's like wall level, people just think she's star level, right? Which is the weirdest thing because that's like the one and only Samson Joy feat anyone ever wants to bring up. It's the star level feat. And here's the thing with that matchup, and I'm sorry any Mega Man fans out there, but actually I don't want to spend here 10 minutes. I'll sound like a madman if I have to tie it all together. But if I had to give you the brief version of it, um, Samus is universe level. Mega Man is like solar system level. It's not really close. Why Samus is universe level, I've explained in like 20 videos. I'm sure you're probably sick of me talking about it, Zeraton, but low multiverse. Oh, it is kind of ridiculous. Most because there's the Prime 3 feat we all know about. There's the Samson Joey White Hole. That's my favorite. And then there's Guerrilla, which is a can of worms I don't want to get into because Dread made Prime Hunters weird in that way. Um, but it usually just comes down to speed. Metroid's ridiculously fast for a sci-fi universe. I hate lifting. Okay, so these same people went onto my Lara Croft versus Jill Valentine video and said, "You might remember this comment. You might have seen this comment." He said, "Lift." Yeah, it's like, okay, you cannot just have Mega Man win this because he lifted a building, and then say Lara Croft doesn't win this because she pushed like 40 freaking tons or 150 to 40, 150 tons, and Jill didn't. So hypocrisy. But that's not attack potency anyway. So who cares, really? Like, so can Samus. So can Samus. She can lift him up too. Oh well. Also, and this is just being a general statement, but I said this in my state of power scaling Metroid Dread, but Dread Suit Samus has completely trivialized so many of these fights. Like literally, being a Metroid is busted as hell. It really is. Oh, oh yes, my favorite part, end of Dread. You can just walk through all the creatures; they just die, touching. And she can get around hacks, like she kills ghosts. She can now hit X parasites, which is huge. X for even more intangible than that. So it's like there's very few things that or I should say the list of things that can beat Samus within her weight class is diminished significantly. If I had to give a little bit of a spicy take, I know people want my Samus versus Goku opinions. I've held off on. Have I told you why I held off on that? I don't know if I made a comment on that. Okay, so the reason I don't do it is because Dragon Ball is such a. This goes into the state of the metric community itself, but Dragon Ball is a so much bigger franchise. It's more united in many ways than the Metroid community. I mean, let's be our biggest channels as a metric community is Orpheon and Metric, and they don't even post often. Like, literally, they're relatively small next to even like a semi-successful Dragon Ball YouTuber. So I don't want to tackle them. But if I had to give my very quick opinion on this matter, um, Goku's actually faster than Samus, and I hate to admit it. Um, through Wii scaling. But the thing is, I think it's a mentality difference. I think Goku is, and I've had many debates with people. I think Goku is going to waste his time trying to probe Samus, and I don't think Samus meant her mentality is to really do that. Um, I think she's more likely to kill him before he can go to his best forms. And that's how the fight would end. If I had to give you like a simplified version of how that matchup would go, that's my opinion, though. You have a take on that? All right. Ooh, Superman. The movie Superman's get destroyed. It's the comics that they're talking about. I think it's yeah. But Korea technically, yeah. Uh huh. Ooh, I would be careful with that kind of take, my friend. Okay, well, all right, because I can. This is a weird. It's in the topic. You can literally make a version of Lara Croft that level through technicality and writing, but I don't want to get into that. Um, but the point is, yeah. On the Superman versus Goku thing, that's what you asked me. Yeah, comic Superman destroys things, and these anime. And I watch a few anime. Don't get me wrong, but the anime community has a really big mentality issue of thinking anime is the end all be all of like power scaling. It really is. It really isn't. In fact, if I had to list you like the top, like top three versus that, like the top three strongest beings of all time, none of them are anime. Literally none of them. There's people think One Punch Man is that's what sickens me. One Punch Man. I don't know if you've heard of his. Even in me, I don't know if you've heard of that guy. Yeah, that's a no. Yeah, right. Like all real numbers versus all true numbers and all that nonsense. But he's not even infinite power. That it gives me a headache thinking about it. Right. In fact, Death Battle had to make a video with this guy. They had to put a cartoon character against this guy just so people didn't like destroy them in the comment sections. Because at least with like an old school cartoon character, everyone knows like you can't really kill those. Oh, even that or Popeye or all these classic rubber hose cartoons. They're they might actually be the strongest character, but all anime's not. Anime has a consistent power level. Maybe I'll say it like that, but they're not the strongest. They're not. But um, but to rewind a little bit, is there another matchup you want to discuss since this is kind of the little bit of the segment that we're talking about, or a matchup that you like particularly, perhaps? That's a good question. Yeah, what is it? Uh-huh. Right. Uh, well, maybe. By the way, I'm sorry that I ruined some of your former favorite matchups. That's my bad. But, um, well, is there anything you'd criticize? Because I love constructive criticism. Is there? I don't know. Has there a take that I've had that's been kind of hot on the power scaling side with Samus, or that surprised you, or something? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, if you guys don't know. Oh, sorry, go ahead. You go ahead. I'll let you finish. Right. Right. I yeah, I explained that. You're right. When I look back and I saw what I said, I was like, oh, that came out poorly. I just meant the time rewards that you get for Metroid are pretty consistent, probably with how fast she actually is. So that's what I meant. But yeah, people gave me justifiably so a lot of flack for that one. But I try not to make those mistakes too often. I try to anyway. Oh no! Don't get me started. He was he was the Doom guy. Go ahead. What was your thoughts as an outsider looking in on that fiasco? Right. Had some 400 and something views. Okay, yes. For those who don't know, because you guys can't see it, kind of like the viewers can't see it, of course, because they're deleted. But yeah, this guy would go around every video I had, copy and paste every single argument, the same giant post on all these videos. So I could have a video about Tomb Raider. He can post, yeah, Samus isn't this strong. Yada 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 yada. It's like we get it, okay? Right. Yeah, it was insane. But I cooled down, or maybe we just stopped feeding. We just stopped fueling him. People stopped responding to him. I guess he just gave up because we weren't changing our minds. breast attack. Like, yeah, it it could. To bring it up, but in another M, I'm pretty sure there's a scene where like she, she, she resists like all the air getting sucked into space, right? Right. Yeah. Yeah. Also, I think she speed blitzes Kirby anyway, so it doesn't even really matter that much. But I digress. Yeah. Right. Oh, okay. The only thing you could say, like he could probably, is like the planet has internal heating, but like that whole planet was like just ice. It really was. Wait, can we actually talk about that comic was like temperature feeds for the entire Metroid series because a couple of kids were still alive on that ice ball? I don't. I want to bring. I'm sorry. It occurred to me when you're saying that like there were people still alive on that planet, like legitimate instance. Survive. Yes. Oh, oh my! It's an. Go ahead. Go. Uh, that third part is even supported because we literally see like a couple of like the little bat things in Zebus that are complete fodder, like completely tear through these two pirates. It's in a manga, so you're right. And then they say it's an Earth-sized planet. So here's what we think the gravity is. And it's like I was like I said in the video, it's like your fucking head canon calcs don't matter next to the actual in universe statements. These people don't understand what scaling is. They legitimately don't. Yeah. Oh my god. I mean, even the weakest goddamn really blew up a mountainside, but yeah, he can't. He can't lift Samus. Whatever. All right. He uh, that's a mostly he is. Someone even asked me in a comment section, do I think Dread Kraid is stronger than Ridley? I'm still thinking on that one, actually. Because, Kraid is alive, what, 8 to 9 years after Ridley died, and it was like, how, because in that fight, I think we can all agree Samus was holding back. Like, she didn't give a shit about Kraid, I think. So it's like, how much do you think Samus was holding back in that fight, really, is the question. Yeah, I think Ravenbeak actually won that fight, or at least part of that fight. Um, but with Craig quickly, I think the only reason I would give it to Kraid is because he didn't immediately get blown out of the water by a 8 year older Samus. That's my only argument. Uh, I I don't think the armor mattered because remember the X on SR388 got to Samus through the armor. My I think he. I mean, it's a good question. I think he just kind of booked it out of there. Like, if he could have saved more of his men, I feel like he would have. But like, he's the last guy there. Um, and remember, he fled to his airship right when the plane was being taken over. So I feel like uh, I don't think he's resistant to it personally. Well, that was before the first Emmy. I have to look at that. Let me look at that image real quick because I feel like what the game tries to imply is that after Ravenbeak kicks your ass in the opening cutscene, he's like going around over the place, like setting up the Emmy to test you. Like, yeah, wouldn't that have been way before the X had been released anyway? When that happened? Oh, you're muted. Never mind. I'm okay. Here it is. I just posted the picture in the chat. Just in case, because this has happened to me before. You are muted. Just okay. I just had to make sure. I had to make. Back. Oh, no problem. Yeah, yeah, I thought so. So, all of that would have taken place well before the Emmy, where On the loose, I guess the biggest question is how did he contain the X in the first place, right? More than anything. No problem. You mean from Metroid 2? One that Ravenbeak is wearing? You mean the armor Ravenbeak is wearing? I mean, the planet wasn't X infected. That's the thing. It was only an Elon. Uh, Sam has opened it again. Yeah. Right. Okay. If I had to grant, the only thing I can see, for example, for your point is that there is a phase in the battle, the boss fight, where he's functionally immortal, basically. If you remember, that could be it, or you could just ascribe that the fact that he's, because we know X parasite copies are stronger than the originals. So the X Chozo soldiers are weaker than Samus, and Samus weaker than Ravenbeak. You could just say Ravenbeak is so much stronger than the X clones that he could just get out of there, right? Like he might have just booked it. Um, but if you wanted to attribute it to like the shield on his armor, I wouldn't fault you on that either. It's possible. Actually, that would make sense because like the X can pass through walls. This is like an established fact. So how were they even locked down? Elon has always been a question to me. Hmm. But clearly it isn't that widespread because only Ravenbeak, right? Um, but yeah, this was all you trying to say at the end of the day was that he got killed by the X parasite because Samus destroyed his armor, which I think people kind of underrate just like how much stronger Ravenbeak X should have been than Ravenbeak, and he still got bodied pretty easily. Had some 400 and something views because he was Kraid and Experiment C57, and then just a Choza. I didn't really himself. Joy Giga. There's some Joy Giga in there. This is the first I've heard of it too. Okay, because regardless, it's a huge power buff Ravenbeak X should have gotten, and exactly. Like there are a few bosses he wouldn't get. He wouldn't get, of course, any pre X bosses like SQ Golzuna and all them, but he is getting a ton. Oh, oh. Well, yeah. Oh yes, fins or okay. Yeah, he has a lot in there. He's a lot in there. So I've talked about this briefly through text with you, and a commenter talked to me about this. But the issue of um, ranking every boss, or every character, the character, the commenter wanted every villain, but I showed you a horrible list of all the characters I try to fit in. That was a disaster. And let me tell you the struggle of being a Metroid power scaler is that it's weird. So you see, I think most people can agree if you've watched my videos that end of game Samus is stronger in each game, except the other M, but that's another topic. The problem is, right, there's always a gray area within each game where it's like, okay, when does like Samus in Super Metroid actually get stronger than herself in Metroid 2, right? So that's true, but then and you can't easily prove this because older games they just didn't have the graphics to prove it. But it's like the manga, and then you have Dread now. Thank God Dread showed us that she gets rage buffs and motivational amps, which you can't detect. You have to kind of guess, right? So I could almost argue that each Super Metroid boss that's a space pirate just gets is just has to be stronger because maybe she's angry at them because she hates the space pirates. It's kind of one of her personality traits. But oh yes, I think actually yeah. I've done some like no save runs, and like I've had a couple end on Ridley. Like he's the only boss after all these years I still get a little concerned about going into. They've never they've never met. Uh, I think I think the arena is what sells it too. Like he's the right size. There's enough room for him and you to do some tricks. But it's not so wide that you can just like always avoid him. I don't think they've ever again gone back to that time. The Zero Mission Ridley was a joke. I'm sorry, it was a joke. Right. He doesn't even get most of his attacks off in Fusion. His biggest thing is that he's just big. He just takes up a lot of room. Such. And then there's the Prime games. They did really well in most of those games. I thought. As fight. Well, actually, Omega Ridley can be trivialized, of course, because that game um, was a hyper mode. Um, right. And I like the fight. I just thought the narrative was because it makes you. It's like Ridley's supposed to be like one of the like he's supposed to be this great general. He's actually supposed to be really really smart. Because in the manga, he like literally beats Adam Malkovich's ass in a space fight. Like he wins. And apparently, Adam was so good they decided to make him into a robot infusion or a AI. Right. And then with the space pirates, you can understand Duxium taking them over. I think it's in the lore that they're like semi hive minded anyway. That's why they're like brainless in like fusion and other M, for the most part. But Ridley always was like, how did you manage to pull that one off? I don't know what your thoughts are on that one. Almost everything. I think the only two fights Samus ever loses to Ridley is the one in the manga when she was PTSDing, and then Super Metroid the beginning fight. That was the only two she ever lost, which isn't really great when you're establishing a rival. But I like him as a rival. Um, really. Well, he's dead. They've confirmed he's dead. But honestly, if between you and me, I feel like there's at least one more thing they could do with Ridley. Because they've confirmed ghosts are in this series. Like, how cool would it be if yeah they made like his vengeful ghost as a boss fight or something? Like, Samus is the Mets right now, but uh-huh. Which, mhm. So here's. Oh, sorry. I'll let you finish here. Then I'll jump in. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Right. Well, here's we did talk about this briefly, but I guess I'll verbalize my thoughts. Um, I thought the exploration wasn't it wasn't on the same. Actually, I think the only 2D game that ever really mastered it was Super Metroid. Because I feel like Metroid One and Two were too archaic and lacked maps, and I thought Fusion was too linear. But I thought Dread was the closest, because it certainly helped that it had the most sequence breaks. It's the best game to sequence break, in my opinion. It totally brought it back because Zero Mission used the gravity, the power bombs way too late. Basically worthless. And then you have the Metroid Two remake, which it's one of my pet peeves about that game. That it relies on the baby Metroid for everything. It's like, well, the game's already over at that point. So it does. And so I think we need to give Dread its due for reinvigorating a lot of what makes Metroid a Metroidvania. But I will concede because I thought about your words. It isn't quite as a pure experience as what we get in Super Metroid, right? And I think if we consider Dread to be this new era's Zero Mission, I think hopefully next game they can really like, now that everyone's gotten their play test, we can really ramp it up in terms of difficulty, in terms of not hand holding, because the Dread does have a lot of hand holding moments. It does hold your hand a little bit, at times. I do think. Okay. 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 To be fair, I can't speak for everyone. To be fair, with Prime Two, the Morph Ball Ing, that's its own difficulty. But with the 2D games, I think Dread for a first time playthrough is the hardest, but it quickly loses its difficulty after that first playthrough. Right. Like AM2R, Metroid Fusion, those two games consistently have a higher difficulty than Dread does when you start replaying them over and over again. I think. Right. Oh, that was so mean. I mean, yeah. So yeah, the Dread is not the most difficult game. In fact, with Dread, I beat Dread mode in like a day or two, right? And you can still goof around. You can still like take risk. In Fusion, if you're like trying to do a no save run, basically, there's no really room for you to just relax about it. You always have to be on your guard with that game because you can die early game in a snap, like literally. Still the first boss. Jeez. Yeah. The core X is difficult only because it makes you like maneuver around the small stage. That's about it. But I even commented on that video. I said, "Oh my god, it's getting a little hairy there. I thought you might not make it the first time." Oh, you're not. No, I've done it. You're not joking. And I think what people are also forgetting is that Fusion is also an old school Metroid game in terms of saving. Like Dread, let's all remember, Dread is really with saving your progress, right? It really is generous. Uh, in Fusion, if you don't find that save room, well, say goodbye to 30 minutes of your progress, my friend. Oh yeah, you're gonna die multiple times on the first try. 'Cause you have to open. You know, one you have to open all those doors while it's constantly chasing you. Yeah, yeah, constantly. It's gross. That's it. I had a friend play that game. He died like 30 times. My friend who had played this game died to the door, the door covering to the boss room. Like literally, he's died to that. That's what this game is. But I love Fusion for its difficulty. I mean, you don't know how happy I was when I completed like a no death run, like with no saves. Um, the only thing with Fusion, not Fusion, with Dread that's harder than Fusion is that I don't know how easy it would be to get through the game and without dying because the Emmy, right? Because the Emmy are so random with when you can like deflect them. That's the only thing. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's stupid. More like uh, it's waiting for you to make that one mistake. Because if you like, I've had runs where I've just like jumped off a platform to get to the bottom. I just happened to hit the Emmy at the bottom. It's like so you know the pain. So it's like the Emmy are there just to wait for you to make a mistake, and then the water is in some of those sections and are like more threatening than the Emmy themselves at times. That water. Oh yeah, because the ice kills you. The that shock thing kills you. Yeah. How do I even get past Grit mode? Now that I think past it. Well, I always get Joy Giga at least. Thank goodness people have discovered all these skips and such for the game. I don't think you can do crazy. I don't think you the morph ball thing in Dread mode. It doesn't kill you. Oh, like I didn't even do that because I was scared of that. Okay, well, good information. Thank you. You know, to tell a brief story about my hardest thing in Dread mode. I think it's after you get the gravity. No, no, it's a part. So there's these slugs that they just poop out these energy like power bomb like explosives like that just cover the whole room. I hate them on dread mode. Like you have to literally hope they do it not on the edge of the screen. You're just gonna die. It's literally it's horrible. Um. Also, I meant to say this. The only dread boss that's like fusion level difficult to me anymore is like SQ if you don't set up for it well enough. It's it's not that it's how do I say this? It's not hard. People over complain. I think they don't know how to dodge it. You literally have to double jump to the top right of the wall and flash shift over it repeatedly to dodge his projectiles. It's not that hard. It's just that it's an attrition boss, and I think and having letting it have so much yeah. But you can easily like trivialize it if you just shine spark into it at the beginning of the boss fight. It's not that hard. Yes. It's like preview. I believe you covered it Metroidvania at one point in your videos. Yes. Oh, that's fair. Well, here's what I'll say. Oh, I was going to comment the difficulty, but let me let you finish your point first. Well, here's my take. It's like I think maybe the thing is that as Metroid players, we might relative to our generation, I think we might be more acclimatized to challenge. Um, I think if you compare this to the NES generation, in terms of what we tolerate for difficulty, it's way lower. Like again, these people have to tolerate with NES Metroid as much as I love that game at times. Oh my god, it can be kind of BS, and it's a guilty pleasure for me because it's so like simple that trying to. That's just me, but it's like you gotta give props to that generation for like tolerating that nonsense. Um, and I think that's why you and me can tolerate Dark Souls or these harder games where other people cannot. They come from Mario or modern Legend of Zelda or Pokemon, modern Pokemon. They just don't have that tolerance. I think. Right. Right. Wow. Right. Yeah, sometimes. Right. Oh, I agree. I agree. I mean, I have similar stories about Dread. Again, first time difficulty. I've had three people try it. Right. They've all gone to the Corpius fight. One of them they couldn't beat it in 20 tries, literally. Corpius, and Corpius isn't hard. I have like zero damage Corpius consistently at this point on my run throughs. It's not hard, but it's just funny to see that, right? Um, but we've been talking for a couple of hours. I know you primarily, unfortunately, it's the one that edited the bulk of this. So, probably ends with one more question. And here's a big controversial topic that's been circulating, for a while. And it's, what is your thoughts on Metroid 2, the Nintendo remake, and the fan remake AM2R? What do you stand on that topic? Uh huh. It's not. Hmm. Yeah. It, well, I've finished all three. I've actually finished the GBA one twice. Here's my take. The GBA one, you're right, completely. People have thrown that game under the bus. Like, someone said it best. Like, the only reason it was so overshadowed is because Super Metro came out like 2 or 3 years later, which completely obsoleted it. But that game has, right. But and Super Metroid is so much better. But Metroid 2 has charm to it that I think is miss that people miss. Especially it had the moral dilemma. Of course, it's like, was it really right to kill all these Metroids and such? And that I love. So okay, so with the graphics of Samus Returns, I hate them. I legitimately think that they make SR388 look not as grimy and dank and what it should be. And I think the color palette looks like puke. Like the green literally looks like puke green to me. I just, right. But with AM2R, I thought they built the world perfect. I don't know how far you got into it, so I don't know how. I don't want to ruin Dan. Oh, you're in the hatchery with the vines. Okay, So you're okay. So I thought the Golden Temple was. I thought what Aim Toward did was build a functioning Chozo planet. Like, unfortunately, none of the versions of Zebes, besides maybe Super Metroid, like depicted like what Cho civilization as a full picture would look like. I won't talk too much because I don't want to spoil it for you or ruin it for you. But Aim Toward has everything you need to make the civilization work, and it's believable. You have the nature slowly overtaking it. SR388 feels like it feels grand because the Chozo was there, but it also feels like it's a dank, disgusting planet because that's what I imagine like the planet to be overrun with androids. And I thought the boss fights were what. Don't get me started on those godforsaken Alpha Metroids in Samus Returns. I think or was it the Gamma Metroids, the ones that run away. Uh-huh. Oh my! It's not funny. Well, they did it for like one time, sure, but no. And I vastly prefer the Metroid fights in AM2R because I'm writing. Uh, I again a big mistake, but I was ranking like every Metroid boss fight for another video in a tier list. Um, Here's the thing: I feel like the ones in Samus Returns were too robotic, like especially the early ones. Like I, what kind of wild animal is floating above you, dropping electric bombs, and then ramming it? It felt too mechanical to me. I don't know. I but I felt like the ones in AM2R. You probably have noticed it by this point in the game, but like the first Metroids, their tactics get a little spiced up as you get through them. Well, I mean, to be fair, it was a year old. I mean, it's a 10-year-old game, so of course, when it started development, it never had it. But admittedly, it is hard to go back to older games after Dread and Sims Returns. Right. Well, I appreciate. I'd like to say I appreciate it because it made it more difficult. Which I guess is the other aspect I'll talk about. I think AM2R handled difficulty better, in my opinion. I thought the Arachnus fight was much better than the Samus Returns one, as my opinion. But I feel like the Samus Return was like a weaker version of Fusion, which makes sense, like logically. But come on, you're like ping-balling the one at AM2R. So I won't say any more because you haven't finished it. Maybe that'll be like another whole segment we'll do, like Samus Returns versus AM2R. That could be a thing. But to close out, how about you start first? Is there any closing thoughts or anything for this interview or this recording or anything? Maybe the genre should be called Soul Troid because Castlevania is goddamn dead. Sorry, continue on. I'm sorry. Oh, definitely. I had fun. I want to thank you, Zeratone, for taking. I mean, I'm a miserably small channel, and I taking a chance on this interview. So thank you for joining. It means a lot to me, and if I had to get my clothing thoughts to the viewers, I would say please watch Zeratone's videos for his content. His content is great. I completely support and stand behind him. And if you want to learn more about the lore or how to win debates with Samus, that's what my channel's for, and and all that stuff. So I guess we're both offering very different things, but they complement each other certainly. So again, yeah, go ahead. Right. Oh, you know, let me actually give some lip service to that because I feel that's my biggest regret moving off the computer. Here, small story. The reason why I don't make computer videos is because my only recording software that I use reliably, that can my computer can handle, does not want to work anymore. I don't get it, so I use my phone. My phone can't make the hour long. I mean, I don't know if you'll leave this in the video when you edit it, but like we talked about it, my phone can't even handle recording this whole conversation. So, um, I want to make just for you. I'll continue, but they won't be hour long videos. They'll be stripped down. Right. And I guess a lot of those videos were like boss fights. I like to show the boss fights, but I can afford to cut down on those considerably. Um, so I guess if you're looking for new content, I'll be continuing my Metroid Thailand series in the future. I just got to sort it out, but I'll promise you that it'll be coming back. Uh, I don't know how to end this, so what do I say? Be great, be wise. Please, all right. Yes. I assume this is where you'll cut the editing off, right? At this. Okay.